Please. Okay.
Roland, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for being with us. And first of all, in the name of the Czech French Chamber of Commerce, welcome to our Supply Chain and Purchasing Club. Thank you in advance to Vincent, Timur, and Frédéric. Thank you for MSC and Bolloré and Lesaffre for hosting and leading this purchasing club, supply chain and purchasing club. What is really important is that, in fact, it's quite a long time. We did not meet all together, and you will see that today's topic is really a hot topic, because we would not have even been thinking about the development of the sea transportation, how it has evolved in the last few months, let's say before the pandemic. That's absolutely clear, and we will have quite interesting exchanges. I just take this opportunity to remind to all of you that beyond this supply chain and purchasing club, within a month we have the Beaujolais of the 25 years of the chamber. So I kindly invite you all to come and participate. We are already more than 170 people registered for the event. Of course, we are able to manage much more. So that's it. So just to mention one point regarding sea transportation, we hear every day about the disruptions. We don't hear about the perspective, but what is clear is that it is affecting most of the industries and most of the supply chains in the world, may it be for food, may it be for goods, may it be for people. So I think that what we will discuss today will be extremely interesting. So once again, in the name of the chamber, be welcome. And dear gentlemen, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Roland. And welcome all. So my name is Renaud de Saint Lager. I'm in charge with Gaspard of this club. We're very happy to welcome you here physically, and those who are remotely with us. And maybe that we'll see the podcast later on. We planned initially this club a month ago, but okay, it's like the cargo. Sometimes there is some delay, and it's very important that it arrives. Not on time, but it's here. So really, thanks to take the time. Okay, maybe a few words about what is a club in the French Czech Chamber of Commerce. The idea is to gather people, to gather experts who want to share about their experience, their expertise about innovation, any topic that can interest the community. The principle, what we try to do is to organize a few. Theoretically, it was 4 meetings a year. I think that now with the new priorities, and it's more like one to two a year. That depends on the news, what's happening in the world. And actually, today is the third one. We had the first one in October 19, so before the COVID, that was focusing on the digital supply chain. A second one that was supposed to be during the COVID, and obviously we postponed it to February 21, which was related to the sustainable supply chain and purchasing, very hot topic as well. But we'll see that when we talk about sea transportation, priority is to make things happen, the goods to arrive on site. So yeah, Gaspard, probably not yet with us, but he will join us. So he's leading with me this club. Yeah, so sometimes we like to remind to have a shared definition about what is the supply chain, because depending on the companies can be different. But in any case, we all know that logistics is part of the supply chain. So I will not go further on that. We are right in the middle of the topic. And why did we decide to talk about sea transportation? Obviously, you all know that it's very, very significant part of the goods that we use in the daily life are traveling around the world by boat for different reasons. We know that everybody is more and more demanding. I was talking about sustainability, the impact on environment, and that also will see impact what we are living now. And we lived strong, and we still disruptions. The COVID and all these side effects. There were also some interesting things happening, like what we lived with the Suez Channel that was blocked, and that will probably impact the strategy of the shipping companies. And then we thought it would be interesting to have a common understanding and discussion and debates, obviously, regarding, okay, what is the current situation? What we can expect tomorrow? When will we reach a balance? Will tomorrow be like yesterday? Probably not. And to have different point of view from different actors. Who are the speakers that took the time to prepare and to share their point of view today? So we have Vincent Charollais from MSC, so that I call the shipping company, so the boats. We have Timur Shaibakov, who is working for Bolloré Logistique, so what we call forwarder, in between the shipping company and the company, the example of Lesaffre, and my employer as well. So Frédéric Chabasse that will share with us. With shipping the goods. So the way we'll get organized today is that we'll have some quick presentation of each of these companies that you can understand what they are doing. We'll have a quick presentation about what is ocean transport. And then we will go through the history of the crisis, reminding some facts and having the point of view of these three different actors in this supply chain. Obviously, at the end of this club, we'll have time for question of answers. So do not hesitate during the presentation to put on the chat your question, and we will try to gather them. So thanks for your attention in advance, and I will let the word to Vincent that will present this supply chain, the sea transportation supply chain, and we'll continue after by presenting MSC. Thank you.
Thank you, Renaud. Thank you, everyone, to be here today. Welcome in MSC, and I'm glad that you had the opportunity to join offline. And also, thank you for the ones who are joining online. So, just for a quick introduction, I'm Vincent Charollais. It's 3 years now I'm working in the shipping industry. So it's quite recent, but I did also 8 years before in automotive industry, in logistics, and also 8 years in telecom, or different field. So the first things I will show you today, it's a quick introduction to ocean shipping, because not all of you are working actually in logistics. And also for the other one, I think it's always nice to have some remind of some basics. So as was saying Renaud, the global trade maritime shipping industry is about 80% of all goods carried by sea. 60% of this seaborne trade has value around 14 trillion US dollars. In 2020, it's 775 million of containers that transit via the ports worldwide, and 5,400 container ships. Just to introduce you quickly, what is the containerization? So before containerization, actually, all goods was carried by barrels, for example, or on pallets. And from 1957, it's Malcolm McLoy that introduced the containerization. But it was really the beginning. Then it's in 1968 that we implemented the worldwide standard of the containerization. And it's really important date, you will see later, also for ocean shipping. So the main containers that we can see on the market, that you will see on the vessels, on the trucks, on the trains, are 20 feet and 40 feet. And most of the time, when we speak about volume of container, you will hear the term 20 feet equivalent unit, which is TU, and is the equivalent of 20 feet containers. So of course, you have also other kind of containers. This is what we call dry containers, but you have also reefers, for example, to transport some frozen food. And you have also other kind that are not so less common than the dry van, but also flat rack, open top, for some other kinds of goods. So here, I'm trying to show you what are the relations between ocean carriers, the shipper, the consignee, So we will take like one first example. So the shipper need to send, let's say, one container to Asia. He will contact a forwarder. The forwarder will manage custom procedure, export declaration. He will also arrange the truck from the factory to the container yard. The forwarder will contact the shipping company and then to organize the transportation from the container yard to the destination, and be also in contact with the forwarder overseas, or it could be the same forwarder as well, and the consignee. So this is one example of model. There is different models. Sometimes it's not the forwarder organizing, for example, what we call pre-carriage, but it can be also organized by the carrier. And also sometimes carrier is directly in contact with the client. So it really depends also the kind of business. For example, the carrier, at MSC as a carrier, we are handling only full container load. So this is two terms also you will hear on logistic, full container load and less than container load, in case it will be less than one container. So for example, this is usually handled by forwarders. Other important term, bill of lading. This is the contract between the shipper and the consignee. And it's also, you will also find in this contract the limit of responsibility and who will pay what part of the transport. Carrier's haulage and merchant haulage. This is also important term. It's what I was just explaining before, actually, when I was speaking about who will handle, for example, the pre-carriage. If MSC is handling the pre-carriage, for example, we organize the truck, we organize the train, this is carrier's haulage. If it's the forwarder that is organizing the pre-carriage, then it's merchant haulage. Is it clear for the moment? Okay. Also, another important part, because also that's right that we are a shipping company, but we also have other service than ocean shipping. We also have inland services, and also in any shipment anyway, there is also intermodal part. So what is intermodal? Intermodal is also the part on trains, for example, the truck, also barge services. That's also all the services that we will use to connect with the port. Incoterms, also probably you may know already Incoterms, maybe not all of you, but this is also really important aspect and terminology of the shipping industry, because again it will explain what are the limits of the responsibility of each between the shipper and the consignee. When I speak about shipper and consignee, for example, it could be seller and buyer. But let's take one example. For example, if we take an export business, the buyer, for example, will actually take the responsibility from the factory of the shipper. So this, for example, in my actually home. Most of the time, I will handle some export business because I have some clients in China. So that's mostly the type of transportation I'm dealing with. Container vessels. So this is to give you also a view of how evolved the container ship these last years, because we see bigger and bigger vessels. So there is a reason behind. One is efficiency. Another one is that the volumes of trade are increasing year to year. And also there is some environmental goals that to be able to reach, to able to limit the footprint, we need also to increase efficiency. So we need to have bigger vessels. 2019, MSC Golsoon was the bigger worldwide container ship, but every year there is a new one that is having a new record. Now we have ships that are more than 24,000 TEU, and I don't know, Martin, if you have in mind, no, like
I think it's
who has the record?
I think it's CMA.
CMA, no, Jackson, no.
No, this is LNG.
Yeah, LNG. Okay. And also, like, I put a picture of MSC Nella. Unfortunately, the director of MSC Czech Republic and Slovakia is not here, but this ship was named after her daughter. So it's a tradition in also in MSC. So sometimes they pick some people in MSC and they name the boat after their kids. So it was a nice ceremony and for the how is it questioning of MSC Nella. Okay, that's it for me, I think, for now. Or no, okay, it's not finished. Now the MSC. So the MSC group. Okay, before I spoke about the 1978 date when I was speaking about containerization. And it's quite important because actually Captain Gianluigi Aponte founded MSC in 1970. So in 1970, so 2 years after the standardization of the containerization, he bought his first container ship, MSC Rafaela, named after his wife. And 50 years later, MSC is 570 container ship. It's one of the biggest shipping company in the world. 570 container ship, if you remember, I spoke about 5,400 worldwide. It's more than 10% than the worldwide fleet. But there is MSC cargo division, not only, we have also some other division. Till, for example, we have ownership, our own terminals in the ports. For example, from Czech Republic, Slovakia, we are using Bremerhaven terminals and Trieste, who are MSC terminals. We have Medlock for the transport and logistics, train, trucks. And we have also our passenger division. So MSC Cruise that maybe you heard about, and some other company of the group also for passengers. So the cargo division, as I said, like 570 container ship, 500 port of call, 524 offices in 155 countries. Well, basically we are everywhere where there is international trades. Passenger division, I will pass it. What is important also when we speak about decarbonization is that MSC is really an actor really engaged in this decarbonization and is also pushing with all the sectors to try to reduce actually the carbon footprint. All new order vessels, these 24,000 TEU vessels, they are already prepared to receive some other engines, for example, like LNG, or they are working on some way to reduce this carbon footprint, and they are investing massively in that. And they are one of really the leader in that. In 2020, we, for example, installed scrubbers in all our fleet, or in majority of our fleet, to capture all the toxic smokes from the combustion. So it was, this is something I would like to say. There is also something else, but I will come back on it a little bit later. Okay, about the growth, you can see that this 20 last years, it has been really exponential growth. Because we reach, so the fleet went to 130 vessels to 570, and the volume of TEUs carriers reached 21.5 million in 2021. This is also interesting to say because even, of course, we will carry all kind of goods you can find, but we also have dedicated departments in many countries dedicated to some specific products. We have, for example, here we have automotive desk, we have forest products desk also here locally. We have also Korean desk in Slovakia, for example, for the Korean business. We are really trying also to deliver the best service to our clients and to have these specific departments when it's really necessary. This is, I would say, a big difference with the competition that we can see. For example, you will see the team here in Czech Republic and Slovakia. We are more than 100 people, Czech Republic and Slovakia together. When we speak about the competition, we see that the operations are mainly overseas. Some, for example, in Tallinn, some will have some operations in India. It's not really our case here. We have some departments that will take care of the train organization, of the documentation. We have sales department, of course, but it's what I want to say that we are really close to our clients and we really try to offer the best service. And this is the strategy of MSC to have people where the business is happening and not to delocalize the teams overseas. This is
where we are here. For
where we are.
Missed to join us.
Maybe just quickly, because I didn't have the chance, I would like to introduce Martin Novacek, who is director of sales department for Czech Republic and Slovakia. Also, another colleague, I don't know if you will join us, maybe not.
Yes, another meeting, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, yes, another meeting with the director of Intermodal, but maybe he will join us after. Speaking about Intermodal, I think this is also important to present it. It's actually our connection to the ports here, because it's also often the question I hear, when I'm saying I'm working for MSC. I say, okay, but there is no port here. But the ports we are using, it's ports of Trieste and Koper, mainly, Bremerhaven and Hamburg. So we have our own direct trains, that MSC fully dedicated trains, that are direct trains, for example, from Paskov to Trieste or from Obernice to Bremerhaven. And the other part is handled by trains via a partner or by trucks. So it's really important, aspect also of our business, because the intermodal part is really strategic, especially when you don't have ports in the country you're operating. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, so now Timur Shaibakov will present us Bolloré.
Logistic. Good morning, everyone. So first of all, let me say thank you to all participants, organizers, and guests of our event. I think it's a great opportunity for all players of the market to sit together and discuss very crucial topic now for everyone. Yeah, I'm representing, let's say, forwarder's point of view. I'm a representative of Bolloré Logistics Company, which provides freight and forwarding services. Yeah, just briefly, what is freight and forwarding services? From consumer's point of view, well, let's say somehow like wholesaler and supermarket. Yeah, so I mean, like we buy baskets and allocations from the producer, let's say MSC, who is providing vessels, spaces, containers, and we resell it to separate customers, yeah, in different industries. So we are somehow like middlemen between ocean shipping line and a customer, yeah, because for, let's say, many of small and medium enterprise companies, it's very hard to get directly to the shipping line, and they're not much familiar with transport and international trade issues. So let's say we are helping and supporting them. Yeah. Shortly about our company, Bolloré Transport and Logistics is a part of Bolloré Group. Bolloré Group counts already 200 years, and majority of the company is still owned by the Bolloré family. Now it's already 6th generation. It operates in different business lines. Mains are energy, electricity storage and systems, communications and media, and transportation and logistics. And Bolloré Transport and Logistics is the biggest part of the Bolloré Group, let's say. So Bolloré Transport and Logistics has 4 business units. It's ports, railways, energy, logistics. In Czech Republic, represented since 1994, with 2 offices in Zlín and in Prague. Currently, we have 22 people. Here we provide services of sea, air, and road transport, and also we rent warehouses in Australia and Brno area. Globally, we are ranked as top 10 global freight and forwarder in terms of turnover and TEU. Yeah, and company focuses a lot on Africa region. Yeah, I mean historically, we have 48 representatives there at 48 countries. And of course, very important regions for us is Europe and Southeast Asia. You can see some, let's say, key numbers here. We are presented currently in 109 countries, either by own branches or with agency network. Yeah, our turnover in 2019 was 8.6 billion euros. Majority of the company is still owned by Bolloré family, and it helps us to allow long-term investment strategy, and especially in this crisis situation, it allows us to make decisions quite fast. Also, we have business in port concessions, pipeline, railway concessions. In total, we have 36,500 employees, and we are presented on 5 continents with 721 offices. Depending on the country, we have different focus. For example, in Singapore, we have strong position in warehousing and distribution. Yeah. Here you can see our diversification in terms of geography and industries. Yeah. As for zones, most of the turnover is still generated by Europe region, because since we are a French company, our main customers are mostly European and French companies. So most of the turnover generates here in Europe. Nevertheless, we have also strong positions in Africa and Southeast Asia. Middle East is a region we are now developing and pay attention a lot. As for production diversification, product diversification, majority of our business comes from sea freight and air freight. And in terms of industries, it's really very diversified. 29% comes from consumer and retail, and it also includes luxury products, cosmetics, luxury retail, healthcare, and aid. And relief is very important industry for us, and oil and gas is a separate division dedicated to that products. So this is shortly about our company, and let me pass the word to Frédéric.
Okay, Frédéric, you hear us correctly? Yeah, perfect.
Yes, normally, just give me a few seconds. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so thank you to inviting me. So I will make a short introduction of Lesaffre Group. So as you know, probably Lesaffre is mainly focused on microorganisms like yeast and bacteria, enable us to position ourselves in bread making industry, food taste and pleasure, healthcare and industrial biotechnology markets. And in each domain, Lesaffre ambition is to be one of the active leaders in fermentation or microorganism to better nourish and protect the planet. On the right side, you have the brand of the different food businesses we have and industry we have, like Fermentis, Bioswager, but I think it's no use to go into details. But as you can see, we have baking, food taste and pleasure, industrial biotechnology, and earth care. Maybe you can change the, yes. So the group in few numbers. So our turnover is about 2.2 billion euro. We have more than 85 nationalities. We are more than 10,700 employees, and we are present on all 5 continents. Other figures I think could be interesting to know. 78 sales offices, 10 R&D centers, 70 production sites throughout the world, 570 R&D experts, and more than 85 nationalities, and 60 applied science centers. Yes, yeah, just to give you full pictures, because we want to go maybe more into the context and the subject we speak about today. It's to give you an idea of the flow we have at Lesaffre Group. So on this graph, you can see country of departure to country of arrival. As you can see, there is a lot of possibilities. The Lesaffre Group is exporting on mainly 185 countries. So maybe you can change also the, thank you. And I would like to go more into details regarding the way we purchase the transport, the sea transportation. So as you know, I'm in charge of the purchases at the group level, and regarding the sea transportation, our tender, our main objective is to create partnership with suppliers. So it is only possible to by reducing the number of players. For that, we have 4 of them which are delivering for us today 85% of our business. We organize monthly review with our internal users, so it means affiliate, in fact, by analyzing the supplier performance. We also organize quarterly follow-up with our carriers to improve and our mutual business. So this is what we do. And for the future, and in knowing the context, we are trying to increase the duration of our contract from 1 to 2 or 3 years, but following market indexes. Thank you. And for the rest, so to give you an idea of what we are speaking about, so when we are tendering at the group level for sea transportation, we have more or less 14 affiliate participating. We have a wide supplier consultation, so it means we are trying to find niche carriers, etc., able to provide services also. Yearly tender directly with shipping lines, so it means that we are in direct link in this example with MSC, for example. We are negotiating directly with the liners. Also to give you an idea, Lesaffre have implemented a fuel calculation formula before the implementation of the IMO 2020 regulation. So it is related to the NOx and SOx, etc. So emission, gas emission. Lesaffre also award provider with a specific selected status, and we provide them an average annual volume. The rates are filed in the carrier system, and we use these filing numbers whether regardless the user location. So it means a Turkish, a Chinese or Mexican company can use the rate we have negotiated. And the use of this condition are done by the factories with a direct booking to the carrier. So it means, for example, a booking sent from my affiliate to shippers like MSC, Maersk, or CMA, or another one. And also the booking can be done via a forwarder like Bolloré, for example. And Bolloré is using the negotiation we have done, and the factory pay what they book. Either the booking is done directly to the company or self-forwarding agent. Global negotiations, so to give you also a vision, when the tender is done, for sure we have new businesses and new flows arriving during the life of the tender. So for that, there is a spot consultation done during the year for a new customer, new change, or new requirement. Thank you. I think I have done the presentation now. And there is next slide. Yes, it's the working together to better nourish and protect the planet. So thank you for that. It's my presentation for now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So now you get a better picture about who are the speakers and what are their businesses. So we'll jump to the boat of the history and ask again Vincent to remind some facts about what we lived. And for each of these phases, then each of the speaker will tell us the point of view, the learnings, and in some cases you will see also some advice.
So thank you, Renaud. So first, I would like to show you what was the situation before the COVID crisis, because it's important to understand that before the first events, before the lockdowns, I was like, we were already kind of fragilized. Why? So, okay, here like basically you have a view on the different events. And what I'm trying to highlight is that it's kind of snowball effect on the disruptions. But I will come back on this part after. What is important is to understand what was the situation before the sanitary crisis. Because the container production, even if it was stable, it was not following the trends of the increasing of the trades year to year. Port infrastructure are getting old. I spoke about the size of the vessel, but when we have, of course, 24,000 TEU vessel, it's not the same time to discharge a 10,000 TEU vessel. So the fleet, like increasing the size of the vessel, increasing quickly, but the ports not always following the trend with the infrastructure. And also IMO regulation. So this impacted because we had to retrofit many vessels to limit also the environmental, yeah. Okay, so what I'm trying to highlight really about the equipment situation, because it's a really big topic, you know it. From 2017 to 2018, I think we will watch this after, but 2017, 2018, the global container fleet is basically flat, but there is already plus 5% increase of the trades, of the volume trades. We were at 750,000 millions of TEU in 2017, 790,000 of TEU in 2018. Regulations and port situation. Okay, so it's already what I explained. The ports need to facilitate the ports needs to accelerate the loading, unloading of the vessels. If we check, for example, in 2021, so this was in August this year, the number of containers that are berthing and waiting to be discharged in the port, you see it's again vessels with 10,000 TEU, 20,000 TEU. So this is the problem that we have today. It's also the problem that we hear about today when you speak about the situation in Los Angeles and in Long Beach, for example. It's still really actual. Actually, we are not after the crisis, but that's the problem that's happening. Many vessels that can't be discharged. So the start of the pandemic. So when it really started to impact the supply chain, actually it was February, March 2020, when the Chinese factories start to lock down. So definitely it's blocked, let's say, the full supply chains, it blocked the equipment. We were not able to discharge the vessels also because it was simply no lack of work power in the ports, but we will go in the day after. I think we'll try to go faster on that part. Spring 2020, so also lockdowns in the United States and Europe. So what was the impact of all of this? Of course, it was blank sailing. The schedules was completely disorganized. Lack of equipment. Then March 2021, we had the Suez Canal problem with the Ever Given. Then May 2021, maybe we heard less about the Port of Yantian congestion, but at the end it was even worse than the Suez Canal issue. So all of this, of course, it lead to disrupted supply chains, disrupted markets, increase of freight costs. And now I will go into detail. Okay. First shock, yes. The first shock when was the lockdowns. So when all the lockdowns start in China, then in Europe, and I think it will be the first topic for the on table. So what was the impact for us, for MSC? Long sailings. Because we were not able to unload or to load the vessel in certain ports. So we had to reorganize also completely the schedules.
Excuse me, because we will hear more times of blank sailing. Can you repeat the definition for those who are not very familiar with that?
Okay, so blank sailings, it's for example when we do some port omission. Let's say port omission, or we need to cancel completely a voyage or to organize a voyage. You have a schedule, you know that a vessel should come at this date in this port, and actually we are not just able to do it. So then we call it blank sailing. Martin, you have another definition? Or I think
No, it's correct.
It's correct. So of course, drop of capacity. The equipment were blocked at the client side or on the vessels at sea that are not able to unload in the warehouses.
Equipment, we mean containers.
Yes, equipment. When I say equipment, it's containers. Yeah. So the actions. So we had opportunity to reduce the allocations to our clients due to the lack of space. We simply didn't have the space for everyone. So even if we have contract with clients that we ship 20,000, for example, the TU yearly or more or less, we had any way to reduce the allocation, whatever the contract at the end, because we simply didn't have the space. We need to roll out the cargo. Because also because of the blank sailings, we were not able to load all the cargo on all vessels as original plan schedule. So rollout, the term rollout, it's when we are not able to load a cargo on one vessel, so we actually will load it on the next vessel. In this case, reduce of free time. So the free time is the time that we give to the client basically to use the container. For example, if we speak about free time at destination, we'll say at destination, let's say to China, for example, he has like 10 days free time. So it means that he has 10 days to return the container after it is delivered to the port. But as we don't have equipment, we need to limit a maximum the length of the usage of the container, because we need to use it for some other businesses. So we limit also the free time. Extra vessels on some services. So we had to rent additional vessels to be able to still offer decent services to our clients. And this essentially cost a fortune, because also the price of the renting of the vessels went totally crazy.
Okay, thank you. So after the point of view of this first phase from the shipping company, we check the one from the forwarder with Timur.
Let me just come back to Vincent's slide, because all actions that shipping line has taken impacted us. Yes, so that just will be some short repeat from my side. Yes, came to blank sailings and suspension of passenger flights in the air transport. Yeah. As a result, stuck cargo rollouts, so inability to sail already staffed containers, which was a very big problem actually, because I mean, like in terms of tensions with the customer, because they were not able to understand what is happening. You load the container, but why you're not able to place it in the vessel? Yeah,
And why do I have to pay for it?
yeah.
It's your problem. You should pay for it.
Yeah, inability to place bookings, most probably by reducing allocations of the shipping line. Yeah. Fortunately, in first quarter of 2020, in first quarter of 2020, our management has already somehow forecasted this situation might happen. Of course, not in that scale that we're facing now, but we had some additional air capacity reserved in first quarter of 2020, and it helped us to at least to shift some urgent shipments from sea to air, yeah, to be at least somehow resilient, yeah, and it helped us to absorb the first shock. Of course, we were forced to shift from the sea to air and rail options. Fortunately, we developed many years our own rail service from China to Duisburg, to Germany. And we had already some, let's say, experience, know-how, capacities to make that, yeah. And of course, immediately we have started to look for alternative solutions, charter vessels, some round trips, and air freighters, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Frédéric?
Last two.
Yes.
Yes. So as the shipper, as you have heard previously, we have been impacted for sure for this problem. So with the first shock COVID-19, as explained previously, we have had the blank sailing. So it means the ship are not there and we have to load the goods. So it was impossible. It was a capacity withdrawal. So difficult to find a space on the ship. Lack of equipment. So it means when we need the containers, we ask for containers and it is difficult to find them. As you know, there were also country to country closure and lockdown. So when a country was closed, another one, etc., etc. So it was quite difficult and there was a lot of congestion. So to prevent those problems for our part, we have had a regular, regular messages to our subsidiaries in order to give more visibility on the forecasts and our needs per equipment and per origin and per destination. So it means we are exchanging a lot with our direct contact shipping lines to provide them information on our needs. I have organized during this period bi-weekly meetings with my contact in the subsidiaries in order to help them to find solution and to give them support with our selected supplier, because as I've said previously, we have tender and we have selected suppliers, so we work closer with them in order to find solution to the affiliates. And for sure, it's very important to give regular market information to our management in order to help them to have a global vision on what's happened on the market and to provide them information to give to the client, final client.
Thank you, Frédéric. So now we had a view on this first shock, I would say the big break. And let's now talk about the strong rebound that we noticed and that we are still living. So as before, Vincent will draw the landscape and then we'll have the 3 points of view.
Okay, so the second shock, yes, indeed, fast rebound of the demand. I think we didn't plan that the demand will recover so fast. If we compare, for example, the two crises, 2009, 2015, we can see after the recession, the time it took before the demand recover. But if we check what happened here in 2020, actually, at the fourth quarter later, the demand already recovered. Okay, well, what I want to explain also with the deep recovery of economy, we didn't plan it, and it also will impact the way the companies also manage the purchasing of raw material or of components. It's exactly what happened in the automotive industry. You saw it with the chipset, for example. So when actually the recession starts, they just cancel the order of this chipset. They cancel some orders because they plan that the sales will be really low. So what happened then? When all electronic goods, the sales of electronic goods were really high because of the pandemic, because midway countries, computer and everything. And also automotive industry start to want to reorder this ship because they see that finally there is a rebound much faster than planned, but it was just not available anymore. And I think this is a good example because it's also the example that we can use for the container situation, because it was exactly the same situation. The carriers didn't order containers. They canceled some order or didn't order enough containers to cover the train because they could not see actually this rebound coming so fast. And we can see it here, for example. You can see it here if we check the slowdown of the container production. we have a rebound. 2019 was also, I think, at the level of 2018. So we have an increase, let's say, until 2019, increase of the trades, so the TUs per year. 2020, we have a small decrease at the end, and 2021, I think we will already back with a few percent on the top. And so the container ocean didn't follow at all this trends. So that's why also it will increase the equipment situation. But not only that, because if we check, for example, here, this is the waiting time in the port to discharge the vessel. It increased. So if it increases, it means that the stock of equipment is also increasing. That we need even more equipment. We need more container, and that's why it's really critical. Because when we speak about container, when we speak about ship sets, it's the same situation. It's not a problem that we solve from a day to another. It will take months. It can take years. For example, for the ship set, we speak about 2 years to build a new plant that will produce ship sets to recover the situation from which one we are right now. So, of course, it's a long-lasting problems that could be quickly accumulate with other coming problems. And we speak about also Suez Canal, Untitled. You can see here, this is the increase I was speaking about until 2019. Okay, decrease in 2020. This is what we plan in 2021. So we think that the increase of the world of the trades will continue. So what was the impact for MSC? So I would say it's similar than the slide before. So it's just the same, but worse. But there is also, yes, some impact disruption in the US because of the container also were blocked. Similar situation in China. Okay, equipment and space issue. So it's really the same for us. So what we can try to do, and we had to do, and sometimes it was not always understood. Also, is the repositioning of empty equipment as fast as possible. It completely changed also the way we organize some trades, because just we need the equipment, and for some businesses, for example, that we use the container too long time, or cargo is too heavy, or of course we will not give the priority to that businesses. So we need to give the priorities to some other businesses, the ones who can move fast, and the ones also where we will have like with higher freight, which is quite logical. Where we have to put pressure on rail, trucking to speed in on operations and organize extra vessel on some services. That's also what I speak on the other slide, but on this slide it's even more expensive. Well, thank you. Timur?
Yes, please. Vincent, just a question. You're mentioning many problems in the first and second wave in China. Then in the second shock came to the US. Means that Europe is okay?
No, not at all. Because actually, disruption in US came a little bit later on. Let's say this level of disruptions, but of course, disruptions was like everywhere, and all trades are connected anyway. You know, all trades are connected, and there is in such situation there is no, I feel like no trade is really isolated. We need equipment. We need to think globally of all actions or global actions. I would say for the organization of the trades, and of course local action to speed up the supply chain, to speed up the operations, trains, trucks, and so on.
So shortly about second shock from forwarders' point of view, let's say, main impact was problems with global service contracts. Yeah, just shortly, what is global service contract? We as a wholesaler receive some, let's say, special rates from the shipping line for particular destinations. And with the special rates, we can also get some, let's say, better conditions, more free days, or let's say for some faster transit time. Yeah, I mean, like from different ports and scheduling. But the thing is that once the demand has growing up again after the first shock, these global service contracts stopped to work. As Vincent already explained, due to certain measures that had been taken by the shipping lines, yes, and I think there was a problem also with vessels. That is the biggest vessels, they had to stay some time at the port during the first lockdown, yeah, and it was it took a long time to bring them where they should be, let's say. So this point was very crucial for us, because it was actually, I think, the first situation during our history, during our recent history, we just faced with some unpredictable situation, yeah. But since we had some crisis teams, yeah, we started to work on the solution. The second point was, of course, growing demand from the customers, especially for China and United States, because these markets were for a long time, say, no actions. Yeah, there was nothing happening there, and after a few weeks, it's like exploding. Yeah, U.S. customers needed some goods that are Chinese were able to produce, but there were no like containers or spaces in the vessels. Of course, as a result, significant rate growth. For us, it means the inability to keep tender prices for our customers, because for some of the bigger customers, we had some, let's say, obligations to fix the rate for a quarter, for a year, and of course, in these conditions, we were not able to face it, and we were forced to explain them why it's happening, and not always these negotiations were, let's say, smooth. Yeah. Many of the customers, of course, it's had a very big impact. And the last thing is unpredictable transit time, yeah, due to all these rollouts and problems. Yeah, transit time on average had prolonged up to 2 weeks delays. Yeah, up to 2 weeks delays, and of course it creates bigger problems, especially for customers whose supply chain was tailored for, let's say, I mean, like who didn't have big inventories and big warehouse spaces, yes, to keep the stock at the high level. Yeah. Especially for them, that was a very awful situation. For example, I had a customer who needed to close his production line in Vietnam for 2 weeks because the lack of subcomponents, supplies, yes, and for him, like costs for running up this production line again were very high, like 10,000 euros. Yeah. And actions that had been taken by us, actually, we had not that much space for maneuverability. Diversification between different services and transport modes, yes, from sea to rail, from rail to air. Yeah. Focus on growing markets and customers. First of all, pharma goods and all COVID-19 related materials. Of course, we gave a priority to these commodities. Focus on spot quotations. That was actually a very useful tool. Spot means that you have a limited deal. Yeah, you buy today for particular price for particular dates. Yeah, and it's very convenient for the customer because at least he can get some obligations that his container would be put on that vessel at that particular day and will arrive in 30-40 days to Hamburg. Yeah. And the last point, we started to work on charter solutions, especially for medical and COVID-related material. Charter solution means in sea transport that we are looking for some carrier who operates own fleet. Usually it's smaller carriers, and we agree with them to either to dedicate the whole vessel to us or to dedicate some particular space to us, to Bolloré. We negotiate with them rates in advance. We pay them in advance in most of the cases, or at least like some of the amount is paid in advance. And for this, we get some, let's say, volume, let's say 2,000 TEUs, and we can resell this volume to customers, of course, first of all, by priority to pharma customers, COVID-19 related materials, to our regular customers who urgently need the goods and are not able to pay for air or rail transport. Because for some of the commodities, it just doesn't work. If you have some cheap commodities that cost, let's say, 10,000 euros, you are not able to pay the same amount for the transport, because in this case, your commodity is not sellable anymore, Your customers will either wait or shift to other commodity if possible. So this is a short list about actions had been taken by Bolloré.
Thank you.
Switch to Frédéric.
Yes. So as you can see, it was not, and it is not an easy task, but as we know, the impact was the huge demand, importation of consumer goods from the US market. In fact, a lot of dollars have been injected in the American economy, and there is a huge volume arriving from China to America. So it means that some ships has been switched from trade lanes to another one. So we have seen lower capacity in certain trade lanes, bigger capacity where the freight is higher. So the supplier are trying to find money and to have better revenue, I would say. There was also a lot of congestion in various countries, so difficulties to arrive on time. And we see a regular decrease in quality service, and no visibility on improvement. So what we have tried to do during this context, and we are trying also to do that today, we have supplier follow-up, and we are working very close with them, and we are following the commitments. So we make some review with subsidiaries, and we have meetings with carrier. We try, and it is my main message, I would say, we try to give accurate forecasts to our selected supplier, giving them visibility per week, per month on a rolling forecast way. We have a long-term partnership, and today this long-term partnership is paying, because when we heard, for example, Bolloré saying that the contract has been broken, etc., etc., today we have a chance for the majority of our contract to have our rates negotiated, and the booking are done under the rate we have negotiated. So it means we are not on the spot market, and there is a big difference. And I also insist on that. Anticipation is key, because if we are not able to give visibility as the ship are not arriving on time, we are looking for equipments, etc., etc. Planification is the solution, mainly for our businesses, but I'm convinced that it's very important to give visibility to the carrier and to the supplier. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Frédéric. Okay, we have two last, I will say, global sharing. One will be about what we experience in Suez Canal and Yantian Harbor. So maybe what we'll see now in Los Angeles is similar or not. You'll tell us also. It's more recent.
Could be a short slide, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Suez Canal. So just for you to understand how much is important the Suez Canal, it's actually 12% of the world's trade by sea is transiting by the Suez Canal. So why? Simply because if we go from North Europe port, for example, to Asia, going through the Good Hope Cape, it's about 34 days, let's say, average for a ship. If we go via the Suez Canal, it's 24 days. I say gross number. So that's why actually there is so much traffic via the Suez Canal. When when the Suez Canal was blocked, we were speaking about a cost between, I think it was 10 billion to 30 billion per week. The cost of the impact of the Suez Canal, because all goods were actually blocked. And they say the impact will be a decrease of 0.2 to 0.4% of the world trade the same year. So definitely it has a huge impact on our organization. We will see it after. And also we are speaking about the Yantian port. Yantian port, so they closed the terminals because of some case of COVID. Here also the impact was even greater. You can see here, what you see all the white dot is the container vessel waiting to pass the Suez Canal. So that we are completely blocked due to this 20,000 TEU vessel. And it's the same situation in Yantian. You can see like all this green point. If there is application even accessible from anyone, you can see the progression of the ships called marine traffic. And when there is such an event, you can see it, and you will see it's quite impressive. It's the same situation here, because Yantian was closed, so we need to discharge to Shenku or Nansha, or simply we need to wait because we can't discharge somewhere else. So it's blocking completely all the maritime traffic. And of course, also it has an impact on the price. And we can see that the evolution of the average ocean freight was surging from like mid, let's say, first quarter 2021 to May 2021. So here we are really into the Yantian and the Suez Canal situation. So here, like it's way on short period. No, sorry, here it's maybe longer period, but you can see it stopped in May 2021, but you can see that it continued, the trend continued to grow now, also in July, and this time, I mean, there is no back to normal. There is just also like snowball effect of events that continue to disrupt the ocean shipping, disrupt all the supply chains, and also disrupt also supply markets as well. Gross materials are missing, but this is again something else. But we are still in the middle of this situation. We will speak about the perspective then, but yeah.
All at the end of your graphic in this September, we can see a light decrease. Is it, or can you already see some effects coming from the automotive, that they are stopping productions all over the European markets? Can you see that you have more, let's say, you're coming back to normality?
Well, not enough, I would say, to decrease the increase of the world trades. So that's right, it's slowed down, so we can think that there is, okay, less cargo to ship, automotive cargo, but usually it's more parts first, because the full the cars are load on car carriers. So this is not impacting the container ship industry. But that's right, like for the parts, yes, there is decrease of volume. But in other hand, for the automotive, if you check the tier 1 suppliers, they are around the factories. So then it's a little bit sooner in the chain, and it's not the same volumes. So huge traffic jams, same situation than before, worse. Vessel impossible to berth, cost of operation increasing, cost of waiting time, cost of vessels. I mean, when we have anyway like a ship that we are not able to berth, also we have all the running costs also linked to these shipments that are increasing. We need to rent some additional vessels. That's what I say. That also the price is increased exponentially since the beginning of the crisis. Cost of containers and schedules strongly impacted. So we are really trying the best to try to offer the best service to our clients. Often we hear about the shipping lines. They say, "Okay, the shipping lines, yeah, the schedules are not, they are not able to follow the schedules. They are not. We are not really. We are victim of the situation, let's say, because we can't discharge our vessels, in the ports. So yes, we have to do some long sailings. I mean, it's not the decision. It's just we have to do long sailing. We have to wait and to discharge our vessels. So the actions, again, we try to cut where we can cut. No extra free time allowed anymore. So really the minimum of free time for the containers, what I was explaining before. Extra vessels, again, we need to cut the allocations of our clients. Also, that is always complicated when we say to our clients, sorry, but no, we can take only 30% of your cargo. And some they say, but it's 10 years we're working together. Yeah, but it's the same for everyone. Unfortunately, we don't have the space simply for two missions. Yes, we reorganize the rotations, we organize the service, we create new service when it's possible.
Thank you. Thank you, Vincent. Okay, some comments from my side. Yeah, Suez and Yantian impact. It was like a cherry on the cake, let's say. Yeah,
a bitter cherry.
Impact: high rates, no space, no containers, angry customers. Was like situation was quite tough because we place bookings. We wait 2-3 weeks until booking will be confirmed. This booking might be declined. And once the booking is confirmed, our rate is not already valid for the customer yet because it's already, let's say, August, yeah, and you have to propose another rate that is, of course, higher, yeah, sometimes like up to 20%, 25%, yeah. It was a problem with loading of lots of containers. I mean, like if your customer requesting, let's say 10 containers, sometimes we were not able to load it even during 1 week. We needed at least 2 weeks because of lack of the equipment. Yeah, we needed to push on the carrier, the shipping line to provide us all containers. So we had some cases, for example, the customer requested food grade container and the loading place came some ugly container with holes, yeah, and then the customer told, okay, we take that, yeah, because like for next month he has to wait like 2, 3, 4 more weeks. Then this is shortly about impacts of this crisis. Yeah, again, actions that have been taken by us. Again, not so many space for changes the situation, yeah. Again, developing off-rail and newly tracking from China to Europe. And the last time I ever seen an offer of tracking from Malaysia to Europe, yeah. Currently, track from China to Europe to Czech Republic costs something like 25,000 euros, 23 up to 25,000 euros, depends on the region.
So the 23 to 25,000. What's the comparison between container, the same space? Is it the same price for the same time?
No. It's more expensive than container because I think container will cost you something like $15,000. Yeah, roughly. Yeah. But the point is when you will get your space. Yeah. You can place the bookings and wait 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks until the container will be loaded into the vessel. Yeah. And with trucks, it's more faster. It's more faster. It's 25 up to 40 days, let's say, only door-to-door transit time. Yeah. Yeah, but limitations. Yeah, of course. For example, from China, you cannot transport. It's problems with batteries. Some electronics that contains batteries is a big problem too. It's not possible to get them by rail, and by truck with very limited options. So, yeah. The second measure was investing in our already existing hubs in Asia, in Africa, and in Europe, Singapore, Abidjan, France. These hubs, these warehouses, capacities help us to, let's say, to absorb some goods from the customers there, and from there looking for solutions to load it somehow, something by MSC, something by Mars, by CMA, CGM. We also developed new solutions for import via Gdańsk port in Poland and also other ports. That was quite workable, but the problem is always on carriage, because there are not that many options from Gdańsk to Czech Republic, because I think now train goes only once per week. Yeah. So of course it's a big lot, many containers stuck there. Also charter vessel and charter flights. This is a service I already explained before. Yeah, when we book some particular space or allocation of the whole vessel and resell this to our customers. Here is the main problem is with the dead flight, yeah, because you pay in advance for your space, and you have a certain date, certain closing date of the vessel, and once the customer is not able to meet this date, you need to charge him with the so-called dead freight rate. It means he has to pay a penalty in the amount of the whole sea freight, let's say $8,000. Yeah, and of course, not that many customers are agree to this condition. Yeah. But demand is so high, so even in cases customer cancels, let's say at least 7 or 10 days before the closing, in most of the cases we are able to find some substitution, someone other who will take the space. Yeah. As the last point, of course, a consideration of our service conditions due to market situation. Yeah, meeting with customers face to face or online via Teams, and explain them that, sorry, we gave you some prices, we provided you some validity. We apologize. Currently, we are not able to meet these requirements anymore. Let's think together on the solutions. What we can do, what you can, let's say, allow and anticipate. Yeah, it's just here it's very important to have a partnership with the customers. Yeah, fortunately, most of the customers, let's say now, they more or less understand the situation. Yeah, because they know that market is crazy. Yeah, market is crazy. Situation is wild. Yeah, so they're now more open to communication and discuss the possible options. Yeah, they don't react for price increasing. That yeah, most of the cases they understand the situation and they understand that. Yeah, which is a very good point. Okay, let me switch to Frédéric.
Yes. Maybe one point, I think we are here speaking on the vision of importation from Asia, and I think for sure import from Asia to Europe or to America, etc., are difficult. We have a chance at Lesaffre. We are mainly exporting from country to others, so there is difficulties for shipment, but it is also, I think, a little bit less difficult than if we are mainly focused on importation. I would like to add that. But I know that some partner, I have seen that there is some questions. Maybe we will answer on that later, Renaud.
Yes, there's a Q&A later on. Yeah.
Okay, so for us, as we have said during the Suez and Yantian impact, still the same situation and same problem: port omission, service reorganization, lowest service level. It's crazy. I have never seen that before. Services completely disorganized, so it's clear. Spot market skyrocketing versus BCO's contract, so it means beneficial cargo owners, so it means direct negotiation. Rollover occurs for sure, and congestion in loading port generating extra logistic cost. So the actions we have taken, I said, sorry, always the same thing, but we have regular follow-up on our commitments. So it means we have an engagement between the supplier and ourselves, and we are monitoring it on a closely basis with our main carrier. For sure, sometimes we are calling them to support us because there is in some countries lack of equipment more than in others. So when we know that we will have bookings or big numbers of containers to be shipped, so as we are giving them visibility and forecast, they know that we will need their support to provide us containers. Sometimes we have delays, 1 week, it's possible, 2 weeks, it depends, because also of the blank sailing. But more or less, with the communication, the visibility we gave, the way we act, and the way we do, it is more or less working. As I said, rolling forecast visibility provided to our carriers, for me, it's key, and we have to work closer with them because it's not an easy task for them. I'm thinking sometimes that they are happy sometimes with the situation because the money is going quite well for them, but it's not an easy task already also. Solution of intermediate container storage fund. It's to give you an advice. For example, you plan to ship containers, you have the planning in the warehouse is done. You have information from the shipping line that the departure for next week will not be possible because there will be a blank sailing or no meet of call. But for our part, the planification for loading is done. So we have to load the containers. But now with the congestion we have mainly in a lot of harbors, it's not possible to arrive in the harbor with the full containers. So we have found solutions to stock the empty containers in parkings or things like that of our hauliers in order to obtain the way to unload the container in the parking, use the truck to reload another container. So it's a lot of logistic task. But anyway, we find a way to continue working. It's not easy. It's not easy for everyone, I think. So it is the reason about storage. And I'm quite convinced that today the shippers are looking for a long-term contract because they know, because I don't want to answer to a question I have seen on the chat, but I think the suppliers today, and mainly the shippers, knows that the context will change in the coming months, maybe coming year, and there will be a huge capacity arriving in the market. So today the prices are high. So if you are willing to make long-term contracts, you are starting from a high basis. And I think for the coming months and the shippers are really open to negotiate long-term in order to keep the revenue high. We will see that in the future if I'm right or not.
Okay, thank you, Frédéric. I see that we start talking about the future. So we'll have to slide with some when this topic will be addressed, and then we'll reach the conclusion of the three speakers. And finally, after this conclusion or advices, we'll reach the Q&A session.
Yeah, I forgot this slide actually. Okay, so tomorrow, what we see, what is the forecast today is that we don't see any trend to the decrease of worldwide trade. The forecast is showing like increasing year to year. It's just a forecast. We don't know also what will come in the next months. But this is the trend, and we will have to cope with it. We'll have to find some way to handle it simply by increasing ports throughput, by increasing the volume of container and trying to normalize, stabilize the supply chains. But we have also some other challenge, and that will definitely impact also the cost, because we always also recently we speak about also the cost of the shipping that increased dramatically, clearly. But also in front of us, we have the cost of the decarbonization. And this cost was evaluated to at least $1 trillion in land-based and ship-related infrastructures. So, of course, it will need to be covered by the cost of the service, by the cost of the trades. And so I was speaking about also the engagement of MSC in also the decarbonization of the sectors, but there is a real strategic decision also taking in the headquarters to avoid certain routes, for example, like to protect some marine reserves or this kind of things, and also to really adapt and to be a leader in the decarbonization of the sectors. So that's why also there is this big investment running from just, it's not really, no need to go in the detail of the topic, but definitely we need to have it in the head that for me, and it's a personal opinion, the rates that we saw before in the shipping industry will never come back to such low rates. Anyway, even if we check several years before the COVID, the carriers had negative margin. The situation was not sustainable anyway, because it was some dumping from example, from actors like Costco, for example, is such a Chinese carrier. So it was some dumping on the rates. The rates were really too low. It was also bankrupt of Yanjin. Also, like I think we can also keep an example of the risk of this, let's say, run to the low cost of transportation. So I think this it's definitely finished. I don't know if the level of rates that we have today, if it will be lower or higher. I'm not able to say. Maybe you will ask me the questions, but I don't know. And sincerely, locally, we are not part of the pricing strategy really that is done at our headquarters in Geneva.
So now we switch to the conclusion. So we'll have the summary, let's say, from the three speakers. It's yours.
Okay. Okay, that's you. Did you write all this? Okay.
I hope you did. Maybe it was late at night.
Maybe. No, I don't know it was so much. Okay, yes. Of course, there is challenges, or there is not challenges, but let's say it's a way to improve, let's say, our operations. It's via the digitalization. So there is several projects in MSC, projects of digitalization to also to speed up the operations, also to have more communications between the carriers and the ports. So there is this project that hope that will be also help somehow to normalize the supply chain. What we definitely need to do, and also to accelerate the transformation of the port facilities, because the volumes are increasing, and we need to be able to handle the discharging of these bigger vessels like faster. That's it. We are still hit by the ripples, definitely, of the combination of events like the snowball effect I show you. We are still in the middle of the situation with Long Beach and Los Angeles port. So a similar situation that we saw in Yantian and with the Suez Canal. Then yes, we can think about let's say what ideally we need to do. Let's say not us as carriers, but maybe how the market has to evolve. Because when we see, for example, that we import in France onion from Australia, this doesn't make sense. And the problem is that until now, I think we are not paying the real cost of importing these goods, for example. And that's the problem, that it has an impact here. It has an ecological cost as well. So that the rates, shipping rates are increasing actually. Maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe the opposite way would be bad things, because if we really in 6 months, we reached the same level of rate that we had 2 years ago, I think it's really a bad sign. It's really a bad sign, so it's not a good thing, I think, for the sustainability of the whole system. Yes, so then maybe we need to reach more reasonable consumption practices and to have some common decarbonization strategies. So all actors, carriers, forwarders, all together to decarbonize the supply chain.
Thank you, Vincent. Timur?
Yeah, from, let's say, our forwarders' point of view, we'll have prepared more like recommendations for our customers, yes, because situation is unstable. We cannot foresee significant improvements in the nearest future, let's say. So probably the situation will last till 2023 or 2024 even. Yeah. So most of the customers have to be prepared for that. Yeah. To probably reconsider their business model, take some important decisions. Yeah, so here's some short list of recommendations from our side. Yeah, first of all, keep your stock and inventory high enough to be ready for delays and longer transit time, especially at peak season. Yeah. This is very important because in order to cover your commitments to your customers, to make new sales, you need to have your goods on stock. Yeah. The same for production companies, for Shabasse and Lesaffre. Of course, for companies, it means that more capital, more finance will be tied up in this inventory levels. Yeah, but it will provide more sustainable and resilient supply chain. Yeah. The second thing is focus on long-term buyers and key markets. Now, very common situation is that if you are, as a new customer, will come to some new producer. In many industries, they either will not sell you anyone, or they will put your order in a queue, and you will have to wait sometimes up to 6, 7, 8 months. Yeah, because they're all focused on serving of long-term customers and their key markets in order to keep relations with them and wait until good times will come. Yeah. Third point is keep enough cash and sources of finance to absorb shocks. Renegotiate your payment conditions if possible. Yeah, this point is very related to the first one. Yeah, regarding stock and inventory. Yeah, you need to have more cash to have a high inventory. You need to have more cash for possible continuing rates growing. Yeah, for some new surcharges, for some longer transit time, some more free days that you need to pay, some extra days to the shipping line because I don't know, in ports they're not able to unload your container on time or put it on the train to Czech Republic. Yeah. So this is just always good to have some, let's say, safety cash basket. Yeah. Look for diversification of your supply. Here, I mean, first of all, geographical diversification, yes, because companies that are tightly related with China or Vietnam or Bangladesh, India, they're now facing huge problems. Huge problems because long transit times, growing rates, and unpredictable situation, and they're not able to fully satisfy the needs of their customers. Yeah, so probably it makes sense for some of the industries, some of the commodities to look for near-shore producers. Let's say Turkey, Morocco, Tunisia, yes, and Russia, some regions that are more close to Europe and from where you can carry your goods by truck, let's say, or by transport modes that is more flexible now. Also, a very important point is to trust your forwarder, yeah, because we actually serve as, let's say, a middleman. Yeah, we just buy space from the shipping line and sell it to the customer. Yeah, of course we have our markup, but I can say even in current situation, for example, 8% is a really good markup for sea transport. Yeah. Of course, 8% from $15,000 is better than 8% from. But we also need to consider that amounts of shipments have been declined. I mean, like previously, we were able to transfer like hundreds of containers from China to Europe. Now, of course, our capacity is limited. Yeah. Also, you should have to be flexible enough for new transport solutions. Yeah, you need to try. Sometimes you should take more risk. Let's say, in this unstable time, to be more resilient, you need to take some additional risk and be open for new transport solution. And of course, take sanitary measures to protect your people, because this is a very important point, especially for production companies. Yeah, once they have some new disease case, they need to send most of the people to quarantine, and they need, let's say, to stop their activity for 2 weeks. Yeah, and of course, it costs a lot. Yeah. So it would be more better to take sanitary measures to avoid these situations. Yeah. This is shortly all from my side.
Thank you. Frédéric?
Yes. My recommendation for shippers is to calculate as much as possible our need. To give, it's always the same vision, huh? To give as much as possible the rolling forecast to your suppliers. For sure, it's important to identify and to work on alternative solutions in case of emergency, because we are not protected for everything. The information and communication for me is key, regular to internal clients, sales, logistics, etc., and our final customer regarding the trend of the market and the logistics situation, in order to be completely understood. To follow regularly the commitment and organize meeting with your logistic partners, and negotiate contract with indexes and warranty of allocation. I would like to add something, because I see the comment of MSC and Bolloré and others, so it means for me, carriers and forwarders. I think for tomorrow, if I heard MSC telling that the prices will never come back before the COVID-19 crisis, so it means a low level, I can understand it. But I think we have also to, as a shipper, they have to understand that the shipper is requesting services. When we say services, it means ship arriving on time, equipment available, transit time, staying at the correct time proposed during the offer, transshipment, if it's a direct service, we don't request transshipment, etc., etc. So it means if there is a cost, there is a service. And I think the main topics I think we should think about regarding the future is how the carriers will serve their clients. It means what will be the service they will provide in order to keep a level of price, to keep margin, and to have that, they have to focus on service. And I think today, the carriers are focused on transportation, but on volumes. When I speak transportation, it's mainly volumes. And I think it's important to remind them that the service level is key. And today we see that 33% of the ship worldwide arrived on time. So it's crazy, it's nothing. So the main challenge for the shippers and the main challenge for the carriers is to provide a normal service, I would say. So it's service focus and partnership. And I think we could continue to discuss later on. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. I think definitely that will be some of the points regarding the Q&A where we are now. So we'll little change the configuration of the camera. And what I will offer is we had a couple of questions already from in the chat, but maybe it will be nicer to have them live, these questions. So I don't know, like Jean-Daniel or I don't know who else was asking question. Evan, I think, was also asking questions. So maybe you can switch on your mic and ask it directly in live. Otherwise, I will summarize it.
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes. Okay. Good. No. So yeah, I had a question about how to secure volume and rates with the main carriers, because what we see now, it's really unpredictable, and it's really difficult for a carrier to honor a contract. And for us, we are working on a project cargo, so we are moving quite a lot of container on a short period of time, but we don't have a fixed volume per annum. So it's kind of difficult to secure volume and to secure space at the moment with the carriers.
Okay, so who will feel like having an answer or recommendation for this type of project cargo, as Jean-Daniel said?
Maybe a forwarder can give advice. And carrier also, and I can give you my point of view, but I think it's interesting to have the feeling of Bolloré, for example, and MSC, and we can discuss later on. If you don't mind, keep my camera also.
I think it's a very good question for all industry of sea transportation, because not only in project cargo we are facing the lack of equipment and space. I think the answer is to find for all possible solutions from all possible ports, let's say, because some shipping lines, they have like, let's say, sailings 2 times per month. I'm talking now about some special break and bound services. And also services that provide, let's say, more options of sailings, but from another port. Just the answer is just to check and consider all possible solutions, yes, and don't watch to price only, but to some special conditions, because sometimes rate might be higher, but if you will take a look at the conditions of this particular shipping line, you will understand that in general you can save more money with this solution that is more expensive, surprisingly. But as for getting concrete space and volumes, I think this is a question to the shipping line, because they are the kings of their market now. Let's say, so they consider determine and allocate it among players in the industry.
Frédéric, so your point of view?
As I said previously, visibility, rolling forecast is key today in the context. I can understand that for Jean-Daniel, it's not an easy task, because the way we act is the way we are arriving to obtain availability on ship and equipment. Sometimes we are facing issue, and for sure it's not an easy. We are not on a happy world. It's complex. But we are mainly arriving to obtain what we need. So without any visibility or forecast to provide, I don't know exactly the market you are working on, but I think if you have, I don't know if you work directly with forwarder or with carriers. It's maybe the first.
Yeah, with forwarders.
With forwarders, okay. Because normally the job of the forwarders is to, I don't know if you are also in contact with the shipping line. So it means if there is a negotiation done by your forwarder, are you also involved in the negotiation? Do you know them? Do they know you?
Yeah, no.
No, I think
we are
maybe
not involved with.
Okay, I think for me the first point is to be known. So you are a nominated account, I would say. You can have a specific negotiation with your forwarder. So it means your forwarder have to say this volume is related to this shipper. So it's not the volume of the forwarder, it's the volume, your volume managed by the forwarder. It's not exactly the same. And I'm quite convinced that if shipping lines know you better, they know your constraints, they know what you are doing, which kind of business you are doing. It's very, for me, it's key also. I speak about communication, but honestly, I think today the shipping lines are trying to do their best. They are also knowing that they are winning a lot of money. So when we say contracts are not respected, it's because the spot market is sometimes better. So they prefer to switch a part of the contract to on the spot market because it's better. But periods we have negotiation with shippers, and we deal with them for more than 10 years. And today, honestly, they are supporting us. So they know our business, they know the seasonality, they know the type of client we have, the constraints we have, etc., etc. So I think the first point is if you're not able to discuss directly with the shipping lines, I don't know the volume you are managing, but when you are working on specific cargo, you say, it means that you have a project, you build the project, and after you have to ship all the to manage the project. I'm right?
Yeah. So basically, I'm on the construction industry. So we are building solar power plants. So okay. We are transporting all the material, the equipment that we need for the construction.
Okay, so normally you have a certain visibility, I would say, on the project you will work on for the period, or not at all?
Yes, we do. We do have some visibility on a yearly basis. So okay, we do know what we will build next year, but in 2023, we don't have yet this visibility.
But for 2022, you know more or less what we will done.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's visibility, no? Because
yes.
I know that some shippers are only able to give visibility to a carrier with 1 month and a half notice. So if you that in 1 year you will manage that, I will insist on the fact that the forwarder you are dealing with must involve you in the negotiation and to show what is your business. You have to take the time to explain to the carrier what you are doing. I'm dealing on this kind of project. I have no visibility exactly per month, per week, etc. But I know that in 2022, for example, I will manage this kind of project. So I will need this kind of equipment, and you can start to have a negotiation, a regular negotiation. After, I don't know the volumes involved. For sure, if you are dealing about 3 or 10 containers, I don't know, but maybe it's more than that. It's
next year, for next year, we are looking at a volume of 5,000, 10,000, between 5 and 10,000 40-foot container.
So you are a big player. You have the full availability and possibility to negotiate directly, clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I suggest
there could be a support for you because you have no expertise, etc., etc. But with this kind of volumes, I'm quite convinced. If you arrived on the table of negotiation telling that you are managing 5,000 to 10,000 TUs and you need a visibility or a contract, it could be interesting. It depends also the way you go. If you are starting from China, going outside, etc., etc., it could be sometimes more difficult for sure. But you know, there are some shippers, and we have seen that with Bolloré and other, but there is some exporters. They are buying shipments managed only for them. So it means, for example, we know that I'm located in north of France. I know that there is a big supermarket company. They have hire a boat and they are managing the shipment only for them. So it means there is a 10,000 or 20,000 TUs on the ship, and this ship is managed only for them. So if you are managing about 10,000 containers, is it in one way, or sorry, in one time, or you have to?
No, it's several times, different locations. Okay. So,
but I think visibility. Sorry, I will make a synthesis because I can speak a long time on that. visibility for the carrier. If you are negotiating with forwarders, I think the forwarder have to introduce you to the carrier and you have to explain your business. And I'm quite convinced that you will find a company willing to work with you on specific topics. About trend of the market, the trend will change in the coming years. I think, I don't know if we can answer now regarding the way we think of the market trend.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us from the meeting room? Is the sounds working from the meeting room?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, it's very interesting answer, and I think it fits exactly the need of Jean-Daniel regarding the strategy, but we will switch to other question because we don't have much remaining.
Sorry.
Thanks, Frédéric.
Exactly the need of Jean-Daniel. Thank you. Johan, I think your raise, it hurts now, your hands.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to ask you, because I hear some very nice things about decarbonization and everything related to having a greener industry. Are your marketing department planning to communicate about that nice strategy to the end user buyers? Because, of course, that could impact their way that they buy things, and they will not decide, for example, not to buy any more onion from Australia. Is that something that your marketing as well is dealing with?
Well, we can't influence the decision of our clients, you know, from where they import each goods. Or I mean, the work we are doing internally, it's on decarbonizing our vessel, our operations, so we can work on that part. Then after, I would say for the part that you're saying, like to try to introduce a reasonable, sustainable export and import of goods. I mean, it's not in our hands, you know. So
it's not. It is the first time on my side that I hear that a company like yours is trying to decarbonize, and I think it's something that could be interesting for anybody, because of course they will try to understand why, and that could impact them later on.
Yeah, actually, also often when we hear about the shipping industry, you know, like people will say like that doesn't know the sector that of course, like one boat, the pollution is huge. It's insane to have such big boats with such a high carbon impact. But we need to consider also, we need to compare, you know, like one vessel with 24,000 containers that will go from a point to another point, like crossing the world. It's comparing to 24,000 trucks on the road, you know, or even train. It's still today ocean shipping the most efficient mean of transportation for the carbon impact. But doesn't mean that we need to stop there, and definitely there is a strong engagement in MSC, not only MSC, because I see also the other carriers are also engaged in that path. But there is clear engagement also from the Aponte family, because as I said, MSC is a family company, and it's something that yes, the company is deeply engaged and try to communicate also. You can see actually they're communicating quite often on it, also on social network.
And maybe, Johan, an answer to your question will depend on us as a shipper. The way we follow this. If in the tender we put bigger pressure on the CO2 or the environmental impact of the sea transport, the company that will have a better impact because using GPL, because whatever hydrogen, then we'll have more chance to win the market. So definitely it really depends, and at the end on the final customer. Is he ready to pay more? If he is interested in knowing that we have like the sustainability in all parts of the supply chain.
And that should improve your supply chain issue as well, because you will have less volume. Okay, thank you.
Which is probably a long-term topic, because then if we want to assess the environmental impact of each of the steps of the storage, of the truck, of the cargo, it's big, but I think we go in this direction, we'll not escape it. And that's good for us and for our kids. And maybe last question from Evan, which is actually the first question, I think. If you want to to express it yourself? Because I think it's a key question. Tough one, but key one. Okay, so actually the question from Ivan was regarding, okay, what is the price trend we should expect in the next 2 years? Which we all would like to know, and then if we have the answer, we'll get soon rich. But so let's talk about feelings or hypothesis. I don't know who from SC, Bolloré or Frédéric, from what could be your feeling?
Hello, I will speak on MSC, and it will also maybe answer the question from Frédéric earlier about the pricing and the strategy and the service disruption and your needs on it, and also what Vincent expressed in his presentation, the decarbonization and the disruption on the terminals. So these costs are, let's say, new for us or in the business where we never faced before. The decarbonization, it's a new topic. The digitalization is new topic. The expanding the terminals, it's also something which needs to be improved rapidly, because of course in the terminals and in the seaports there are some extensions, investments, but not big enough for the vessels or for we expect in 2022, 23, 24. You've seen in the graphs that the global market is ready to grow, but we need investments over there. So the pricing, I am fully agree with Vincent that the prices will not, and also not only my opinion, but it's also coming from our headquarter opinion that the prices cannot go back at 2018 and 19 when the sea freight was even from China to Europe $50, which was very mad, and the bankruptcy, and you've seen lots of alliances coming together, and it was only because of the pricing. And so we see that there will be some changes maybe in pricing. We don't know if up or because also the carbonization, there is no real strategy for it. There are some fuels which can be replaced by current heavy fuels, but there is no real only one or only two which will replace it in up to 2050. So this is the big question mark for us. And coming to the service and the pricing, MSC, maybe you have seen that we will become the #1 in the carried in the vessel owners or vessel operation fleet as #1, and it's investment of the MSC as a Ponte family for the future. It's not like we are earning lots of money because of the sea freight from China. It's $15,000, so to United States it's 8,000. It's MSC. It's also investing a lot of money, also deploying on the services additional vessels, which we have seen on Europe, US or Europe, Asia services, where we have additional vessels which cost a lot of money, especially for those who are chartered or rented. So it's not only that we are manning and do nothing. So this is where Mr. Ponte as owner is also putting this information to the market and to the customers, that we are not only collecting the money, but we also invest also in the terminals. So you've seen lots of ports we have around the world where we invest money, and also on the fleet and also on the containers itself as assets for our customers.
Okay, I give you an idea of course, because of all these costs, what could be the trend in the future, but then in 2 years, I mean, it's I think it's impossible.
It's too far
to predict. It's too far, and we don't know. I mean, we are right now. The focus it's not so much on the rate. The focus is on the service. As said Frédéric, you want a better service, and we want also to try to offer better service. Unfortunately, schedules, sailing emissions, it's not something of our choice. So we have to cope with it. We understand our clients can be frustrated. Definitely, we are frustrated as well because every day also it's like in our daily life we are also learning that we will be not able to discharge in one port or another. So,
okay. Thank you. So it's already past 11, so maybe some people have some constraints. So I don't know if on Bolloré or Lesaffre side something to share about the expected trend or.
We are still as a product of the machine, right? So we are follow dependent on that. But just a small question from my side. Do you see, let's say, some light at the end of tunnel? Our rates are keep growing and growing and growing and growing. But of course, some border, yeah.
Yeah, the question for Timur was if MSC is foreseeing some light at the end of the tunnel or some stabilization, or maybe we'll expect more increase again.
Sincerely, first, me, I can speak on my name, not even on the name of MSC for this, if we speak about the freight rates, because I don't know, I will just maybe give my feeling. But now we are, as said at the beginning, we are still in the middle of a situation now with Long Beach and Los Angeles. So we see, for example, CMA and APAC, they said they will fix the spot rates. Okay, so then I don't know if they said they will give us, like, they will fix the spot rates because they think the trend will be a small decrease of the spot rate. It's also possible, because
increase the charges
and then they can increase also yes in another place. When we see the freight rate index of the spot cargo I was showing before, we see that there is a small decrease in September, but October. Now we don't have really sign, but it depends because each trade needs to be taken separately for the freight rates. Now we are going to, it will be the Chinese New Year also soon. So December it will increase. It's difficult to say. And
we'll see the beginning of next year.
This is really short term, and then long term I'm really not able to say. I don't know.
In this period, you can see it every year that coming to October and then November, there is a bit slack of the season, but then it's going again up because the Christmas goods carried already in July, August, September. But now the market is preparing for the Chinese New Year in 2022. So better
okay.
Your iPhone now. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry, little impolite, but I will have to jump to the conclusion.
Renaud, maybe just one point. Some analyst says that the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, there will be a huge number of of boats arriving on the market. So some analysts are saying if the COVID situation stay as is or improve, we should see normally a decrease of price during this period. And some other analysts are saying that for the first quarter, maybe the first semester, it will be not flat, but maybe it's difficult to say, but normally it should decrease a little bit end of the year, second half of the year, and starting 2023. Mainly done by analysts, so it's not my analysis, it's what I have read on newspaper, on documents. I think the rate can't stay as they are. It's not possible. There will be difficulties for shippers, carriers, importers, and some are not able to sell today with the price of the transportation, clearly. So
okay. Thank you. Thank you. So sorry, I mean, some people might have some. So we can continue for those who are here or to discuss, I will say, apart from the call. So sorry about that. Just a few words of conclusion. So definitely we are living a very unique situation, not only on sea transportation, but I think we all hear what's happening on all raw materials, even if they are not coming from the other part of the world. We see what's happening with the energy prices, some factories having to shut down. So it's very unique, very tough, very challenging one. Definitely, when we talk about price, we know and we heard that some investments are needed. We talk about cargoes, we talk about the harbors, the containers, even if it's more limited. So definitely all of this will have impact on the prices, and everybody would like to know how it will be tomorrow, definitely. I think a key point that we heard is the relationship between customer and supplier. That there was some frustration, and probably there's still some frustration when we are not able to put the service level in front of the price which is paid, even if we understand what's happening, but nevertheless there is this feeling. And we heard about the long term, and the word I will insist on it, partnership. I think it's not a supplier customer point of view, it's really a partnership and long term. And there was this point of view from Frédéric on the indexation of the contracts, so to give some visibility. And finally, okay, tomorrow, what will be the new normal? What will be the new balance? These high prices might impact relocation partially, fully, probably more partially than fully, but it will have some impact. E-commerce, what we live with during the COVID also will stay, probably will increase faster, who knows, but that will impact this new balance. So we're all curious. I think that everybody is working hard to make things work, to stop disruption, to limit them, I would say, as much as possible. And finally, I would like to thank all our participants today, and especially speakers. So Frédéric will give us some very interesting advice, Timur also with the point of view of Bolloré, and especially MSC and Vincent, that you so structured a lot of points in this presentation, welcoming us here today. So big thanks to all of you. Thanks to Sharka, who remotely also was assisting us to plan it. And for the future, so we will send you all a kind of a questionnaire to get your feedback, and definitely also to get any suggestion you might have for the future topics that will interest you.
Thank you very much, Renaud. Thank you very much. It was really interesting, relevant. I hope I will have occasion to discuss with you later on. Great. It could have been even interesting to discuss the impact on industries and production and relocation, also this very high price increase, and even if it lasts only during the year 2022, as I can understand, if we are optimistic, it has really an impact on the supply chain and the production facilities, but that's already another topic. So thank you very much. It was really interesting and relevant as well. So great things. Thank you, Renaud. Thank you, Gaspard, and thank you to all the speakers of today. I just would like to mention that if you have a little bit of time this afternoon, we have the meeting with new members at Mama Shelter Hotel, where we'll have, I think, Sharka starting from 4 o'clock, from 4 to 6, something like that. So we will have presentation of new members, including MFA, so the companies in touching the rail. I mean, mainly the transportation by rail, but not only. So it can be interesting. So you are most welcome if you have a little bit of time to be with us. So once again, thank you. Sharka, something to finalize?
Okay. So thank you all.
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we do.
I just want to thank us briefly to all of us, because it was the first session of this hybrid event. So I'm really pleased we could do that with you. So thanks a lot, and looking forward to see you on the next event we are organizing. And you have the link in the chat.
Okay. Thank you all for attending and preparing. Okay. Have a nice afternoon.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.